Freaks, weirdos. Just a quick video. I have mentioned this bed bench several times, and I've had a few people ask me about it. I look like crap. The goal of this video is not for me to perform, but to show you the bed bench. I'm getting ready to put it together because the room is done, and I want to be able to move it around a little bit easier and use it. So this is going to be me putting this bed together. This bed, I originally got, or she originally got, and it did not have the fabric center. It was just a wood center. I believe that this bed is a mix of cherry and mahogany. And in the process of breaking it apart, stripping it, refinishing it, refurbishing it, cutting it apart and rebuilding it, I did find on one of the metal pieces where the rails would mount to the bed that this bed was in fact from the 1850s. So it's a 175-year-old bed, and I might not have cut it apart if I had realized before that its age. I may have just gone ahead and refinished and tried to sell it as a bed. But if you've ever had an old bed frame, then you know that very often very old bed frames do not conform to standard mattress sizes, and you usually end up with a mattress that doesn't fit widthwise, or hangs over, or is too short, or is too long. So really I've given this a very much of a second life. The bed, this board here directly above the fabric, this topper piece and one of the rails were split and almost coming apart, so I had to make those repairs. Other than that, it was mostly a matter of stripping and refinishing it. God, that's going to be bouncy. Just taking it apart, making my modifications, stripping it down, refinishing it. It currently has no finish other than stain. I've considered shellacking it, which is very time consuming, and I could not do where I was at previously when I built this, because I did this about, I don't know, 5 years ago. And the facilities that I had available to work on this were not well conditioned for heat in the winter or cool in the summer. So I did what I could when I could. I like it without a finish. It has a few little dings now from being moved 360 miles in the back of a U-Haul truck. Most of our furniture does. So as I said, bed was completely redone. This backing piece here was a piece of maple that just ran across and filled the hole. I didn't like that, so we made cushions for it as a bench, and we used the same fabric up here for the back that we did for the cushion, which technically is unfinished, but we're going to gloss over that and not worry about it. But I'm going to go ahead and put it together so you can see how it goes together. It's got a little secret too. It has a nice little secret that you'll see after I get the main part of it put together. And you'll see it has these fittings, and then the bed down there has a slotted piece of metal where these hanging in, so not that unusual. And they are cast iron. They've already got a light glossing of rust on them, and eventually they'll rust together, and they'll be quite hard to separate. I'm not worried about that. I don't want to oil them. I don't want oil on the wood until I know if or how I'm going to finish them. I also need to take this and slide it out just a hair, because these side pieces are just heavy enough to tip it, and I don't want that because I don't want to have to try and catch it. So I didn't even think to show you these. So this was one end of the rail. It had this, a similar but smaller piece like this, same shape but smaller. On the other end of the rail, a lot of wood in between it, and it had boards that ran across for support of the mattress. These are the actual end pieces from both ends of the bed that these fit into. There's one of my scuffs. Bring it up here, right here, from where it either fell over in the moving van or something else fell on it, and I can fix that pretty easy with some hot water or steam and a little bit of stain. Somewhere on here is written the stain color. It's Minwax and the stain color, so I could touch it up because my stain died. Everything on it that I had to replace as far as fasteners, there were screws in a few pieces that were badly rusted and the holes were wallered out. I replaced them. As it was, you'll see in a little bit I have some pocket screws in the sides. I'll show you when we get to that. But I had these same pocket screws. I had them open, they were there, I used them. The bench is very sturdy. It's a little bit tall. And I did originally have these so that the wide end was against the frame and the narrow end forward. And I didn't like it, and I said something about that to somebody, and they said, no, it looks just fine that way. And then realized because the brackets are in the same place height-wise on both sides, but I could switch them around, no biggie. Sorry, I just found another dusty spot, so here's the other one. Same thing, this one survived. The one thing that I didn't do when I refinished the bed is some of these scuffs, like the rails on the bed, weren't as well finished as the headboard and the footboard because it was a piece of furniture and they were expecting abuse, and they didn't sand and finish them as much. But there were some pieces where after I sanded them to finish them, there were just some little wear marks and I don't know, fucking bad spots. We'll just call them bad spots. Here's another piece where it was split and I had to glue this one. And then in all these little fine details and in some of these curves, those are the places where over the years that furniture collects dirt and dust and wax and oils and grime. And when I finished the bed, when I was sanding down, I actually left a little bit of that in there because one of the things that gives old furniture its character is looking old, looking worn. That's why when I redo a piece of old furniture, I like to leave some of that character in there. Also note, I did not antique this fucking frame. Anybody who antiques furniture can go fuck themselves, because old beat up cracked paint furniture looks like crap. Why the fuck would you refinish a piece of furniture and have it come out already looking like crap? That's like painting your walls beige so that your walls don't look dirty. Well, you paint them fucking beige and then your walls look dirty already. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for them to look dirty. Sorry, I digress. So anyway, these slot right in, just like the rails originally did. And I'm trying to be very, very careful because I don't need to scratch my wood up. And they just hang. And you say to yourself, well, what happens if it gets jostled around or bumped around or something like that? And here's the footboard. I'll show you that. I'll tell you what happens when you jostle around in a minute. Here's the footboard, which if I can get the camera down. So the footboard, the front of the bed bench, the footboard actually was the other way up with that round piece on it. So the contours at the bottom of it kind of match the contours at the top of the bed. But when I was converting it to a bench, and I know some people are going to say, hey, you know what, that's not an original idea. Well, no, it's not. But people have been doing it for a very long time, converting furniture. It's not a new trend. It's not a recent trend. It's not in the past 10 years trend. It's something people have been doing for ages, repurposing furniture. But anyway, the footboard, because it suited my purposes better, and I think it looks quite nice. And again, on this circular piece, you can even see on the camera, it's a different kind of wood. The stain did not set in it the same color, which is fine. It didn't on the original piece, although it was much more battered and bruised. But in all those rings, all those little grooves, I have the tools and techniques. I could go in there and I could sand every one of those grooves and make them clean, make them not as tidy, just like, the grooves here. but that's part of the character of the furniture to me, and it helps show that it's old. It helps show that it's not just something somebody recreated. A lot of quote marks going on today. Quote marks. Recreated in the garage. It'd be nice if my phone would stay level. So anyway, let's hang this up. But what keeps it together is that I didn't just dispose of the rest of the rails. There we go. I tried to use as much of the original bed as I reasonably could. Now we're going to tip this forward so that the rails to the side of the bed bench will settle down in the legs, which is not always easy. The headboard of the bed bench, right here, has a tendency to make the whole thing want to tip backwards. I really need my extension cord. Let's want a better view of this. Let's move my phone back a little bit. Okay, wrap this around so that it doesn't fly away. And I will edit this video for YouTube so that it's much better, in theory. Okay. That doesn't help at all. Vertical help? Yes, that's slightly better. That is, okay, at least I got the whole goddamn thing in there. So the whole damn thing wants to tip backwards at all times. And the front, the footboard, keeps it from falling backwards. But when it falls backwards, the rails lift up, it wants to pop out of the legs. So like I said, I reused as much as I could. And I didn't like that the original legs stuck up so far. And so I made sides, which this is the better looking one. So we'll go over here, based on where I want to put this. And I mentioned the pocket screws. Well, these two boards have 4 pockets for the pocket. Hold itself right in. Okay. So I guess I'm not able to switch the sides. That's fine. It's not a necessary feature anyway. I usually do this with a driver, which makes them tighten down a lot better. And I'll be right back. Alright, where was I? Oh yeah, screws. Yeah, they go in better on the correct side, I guess. I really need to find my driver and finish this. As I mentioned, this was not intended to be a spectacularly entertaining stream / video, as it was just to show the bench. Of all the pieces that I have made or repurposed or redone, refinished over the years, this is by far my favorite piece, and I will probably never sell it. I don't think anybody in their right mind would ever offer me the money equivalent of the time I put in on this. And I was a little heartbroken when we got here and stuck and fallen over in the moving van. There we go. My little electric screwdriver just isn't, it doesn't have enough oomph. It's together. So, now for the secret. I have to move it over for the secret. Light coming in the window is not going to help me, but that's okay. So, here's the top of the seat. The cushion goes on. That's not the secret, and I may need to clean them. This is the secret. I mentioned carefully, as Sarah in tune says, carefully exe. That was terrible. I'll have to edit that. So this is the secret. This wood is all part of the old bed. I honestly don't remember which pieces are part of the old bed other than these. I take that back. No, yeah, the bottoms and the sides, because they're unfinished on the back. They may have been slats. I think they were slats. And then these two were rails on the sides for slats to lay on and then the mattress. But I made this, and it needs to be dusted. I'm not going to worry about that right now. It has handles. See the unfinished side? Because traditionally, furniture makers do not finish anything that will not be seen, or is expected to ever be seen. But this is the toy box. And this comes in here. And inside the seat are more of those rails. And the handles are more for if you gotta move the damn thing, you can take it apart and then you got handles to carry it with. And that will hold not a ton. Wouldn't be a great place for blankets or towels. What it would be fantastic for, and the reason I was on a thought process when I got to this part, is it's the right size for a couple of not terribly long rifles or shotguns. You could pad it out, put them in there, they'd be safe, out of sight. Then we've got the seat board, which also needs to be dusted, and I'm not going to worry about that right now. It is notched out for the front legs and for the rear. And this is another piece that you have to be careful with. I even went so far, even though this is not a visible piece, I did route the edges and finish it. You can see it's got a little marring here. It was part of the pile that fell over in the moving van. And it comes in. The tops of the toy box make rails of even height. This sets down in here gently and fits around all the legs and makes the seat surface. And then, oh, I'm going to have to steal the cat's cushion. This is the part you're going to ignore because it's not done. You're ignoring this part, right? I have not made the time to assemble the cushions. So for now, the cushions go thusly. And they are cut out a little bit to fit the corners. And if I can't find the fabric for some reason, I'm going to be pissed off. And then whenever we get around to it, it is sewn up and completed. The fabric will go on it thusly. As of right now, I actually hang the fabric over the edge because I caught one of our cats trying to use the front of the bed bench as a sharpening post, and it almost resulted in a cat experiencing DEAB.exe. Love my cats, but I do not give one shit about it when they tear my stuff up. When they've got perfectly good things to sharpen their claws on other than my furniture. So I'm going to tuck this like this so it hangs over and the cat will not sharpen her claws on the furniture. It won't be as pretty as a finished cushion, obviously, but it tucks in nice, both sides, on the back, and you have well, I'll tuck it in for now. We'll tuck it in for now for the demonstration. Slide it up. And that's what you get. My 1850s bed bench throne. I love this piece, and I don't have any children to inherit it, so I'll just donate it to I don't know, the Church of Satan. We'll see. Anyway, as always, thanks friends, beans, weirdos, freaks and fools, whatever. Don't be a bully, don't be an asshole. Cheers.